Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video, and in today's video we're gonna finally build our website portfolio that I have been talking for such a long time. So it's almost done in here, as you guys can see. It's not completely done because I just decided, okay, let's just do these together in here, and yeah. So basically, I'm gonna guide you through like you don't know anything, like you don't know any code, any HTML and CSS. I'm gonna just start out just like you don't know nothing. And bear in mind that I'm not a professional doing these kind of tutorials, so this is like my first time that I'm doing this. So if it's not like perfect, yeah, just take this in consideration. But I'll do my best. I will just like try to explain as if it was for myself. Because a part of teaching these kind of things is like to tell you kind of problems that you can face and that I faced as well in the past. So yeah, so all right, let's start with this. And in this video, starting out, we're gonna build this page, like I said. But to build any kind of web page or whatever, you need code editor in the first place. Yeah. So code editor is where you're going to put all your HTML and CSS code. And there are many out there in the web. You can download completely for free. I'm using in here Visual Studio, that you can just go to Google and download Visual Studio. This is the one I'm going to be using, but there are many others like Atom, Bracket. I think there is a free trial for Sublime as well that is very popular. Yeah, just use whatever you want, but if you want to follow me and you are a completely beginner, just download Visual Studio, and we can start with this. So once you download Visual Studio and you have everything installed, just open it. And let's start by doing File, New File. And as you can see, we have a new file in here, completely empty, and we have the name of our file, untitled.1. So let's save our file. First of all, save as, and choose a location on your computer, like where you wanted to save this kind of project. And the first page should be named index.html. This is the name of the first page of your website. So you just save it. And right now, watch this X in here on the top. I'm going to write down something like is very popular, like hello world. This X in here, it's now a circle, so it means that we did some changes to the file and that the file has not been saved yet. So to save the file, now first of all, let's just preview our file that we just created. Just go to the folder where you saved your file and double click on it, and it should open on your browser. And as you can see in here, it's completely empty because we don't have anything. Is the name of our file is index.html. And as you can see, this hello world is not displaying in here because we didn't save the file yet. Look at the circle. The circle means that the file has not been saved yet. So to save the file, you need to go to File, Save, or you can have a keyboard shortcut, Control S. As you can see, the circle is not there anymore. So if we go to our browser now and we can just refresh the page, you can just hit this button if you are using Chrome, just like me, or you can do Control F5, and there you go. Hello world. Fantastic. So this is our first line of code that we just did. This is the beginning of something, guys. So if you want to write, imagine now the next line, I just press enter, and as you can see, there is the circle again because we just did changes to the file. If I want to write down now, for example, my name is Telmo, and I'm going to save it, Control S on the keyboard, and I'm going here to the browser. I refresh the page. Hello world, my name is Telmo. So you're going to ask me now, but Telmo, you just wrote down this here, this line, under hello world, but in here is displaying next to it. Right, So if you want to get this kind of effect, you know, like you are just writing down on the next line, you should use a HTML element for it. What is a HTML element? There are many out there. This is where you should put your kind of your content, your text should be always inside of a HTML element. So for example, there is a paragraph element that you should put like for kind of paragraphs that you want to write down a lot of text or whatever. So for example, to have a paragraph element, you should write down open brackets, P, close brackets, and Visual Studio just completed the rest. So as you can see, you need to put open brackets, P, close brackets, and you have for the closing element a /P and close brackets. So this is a paragraph element. If, for example, now I'm gonna just Control X to cut and Control V to paste, this my name is Telmo now is inside of this paragraph element. Let's save this and preview on the browser. And as you can see now, this is on the next line. There are many. So for example, you shouldn't write this kind of hello world just like this in plain open space. Should be always inside of a HTML element. So there are many different HTML elements. So for example, there are headers, which can go from H1 to H6. So H2, I'm just write down this quickly. Just gonna copy paste. So H3, H4, H5, and H6 finally. So there are 6 types of headers, and they should be used if you want to use a title for something on your website, you know. So I'm going to write down here, this is a title H1. I'm just going to copy and paste so it's quicker to put on all of the other ones. So I'm just going to update this. H4, H3, and H2. Let's save this and preview in here. So as you can see, look at this. The H1 is the one that has the bigger, I put tile, it's okay. Let's refresh. So H1, as you can see, is the heading element with the bigger font size. So this is like for something more important, and then you have like another subheading, H2, H3 is smaller, H4 is even smaller, and the smallest of them is the H6. So this is another HTML element that is very popular and they should use if you want to use any kind of titles or something, you know. So you have these ones, these kind of elements. You have the paragraphs elements, like I said before, if you want to put a lot of text or a description for something. So this is another one. And so what can we do? We learned a little bit about different elements that you can put on the page, how to save the file and preview on the browser. So what can we do now? Maybe we can style these, you know, start styling these, like giving some colors and whatever with the CSS. So CSS is a Cascade style sheet. So this is what we're going to use to give colors to our fonts. You know, you can put background colors, images, or whatever. Right, so if I want to put, for example, these H1, like with the color blue, I just go in here, style, double quotes, and I put color blue. I save this. So this is like it's called the inline styling for the CSS. You just write down inside of the first element, style equals to then double quotes, and then you have color. This is like to give the color, and then you choose the color that you want. Okay, so if we save this, I already saved, Control S, refresh the page, and there you go. You have a title, H1 title in here with the color blue. This is what we wanted. Now, let's say, for example, that you have like, this is a title number, title H1, yay, and wow, let's save this. Right. Let's say that this one in here I want with the color red, and these two can be color blue. Yeah, let's refresh the page. So now we have like this H1 with the color red and these two with color blue. So this kind of inline CSS is not recommended at all, you know, because if you want to put a lot of styling, can you imagine now, for example, if I'm going to put in here, let's say font size, I can change the font size, for example, for 40 pixels. I'm going to save this. Look, it gets even bigger now because I set the font size to 40 pixels. If you're gonna put a lot of styling to just one element, it's gonna look messed up, you know, and this is not recommended to use this kind of inline style. So what you can do is just go in here and on the top, before everything, just open a style element. And inside of this style, this is where you're going to write all your CSS. So let's say, for example, we want to style these H1s now. So we're going to write down H1, and we want the color to be yellow. Let's save and refresh, and nothing happened. Why nothing happened? Because CSS is a Cascade style sheet, and the browser, when it's reading your code, it starts in here from the top. It reads hello world, it goes in there, and then it reads our style, and it says, okay, all our H1s will be the color yellow, but then it goes down here, H1. This H1 now has an updated color because this is like overwriting this previous value, and now this H1 is going to be with the color blue. And now this one in here is going to be with the color blue as well. And now this one is going to be with the color red. So all of these values in here, they are overwriting our style here on the top. And this is not what we want. So for example, let's say that I removed from this H1 in here this one. I remove this style in here. I'm going to save, Control S, refresh the page, and now, because there is nothing in here overwriting like before, now the color is in yellow like in here. Yeah. So if I just remove completely this, and I remove this style as well in here, I save, now refresh the page. So now, as you can see, this one in here, H1, is going to target all the H1s on your page. So if you want like to target now a specific one without putting this inline style, like I told you is not recommended to do, we can use IDs and classes. So IDs should be used just like for targeting one element. An ID is something unique, just like your passport number or something. So let's say, for example, you want to target this second H1. You go in here and you write ID equal double quotes, and you put, let's say, ID my color. So we go in here now inside of the styles, and we put a hashtag. This hashtag, it means that is targeting our ID. ID, and the name of our ID is my color, my color. And we want this ID to be color, let's say red. Let's save the file, go in here, and now we have this one with the color red. Cool. So we learned how to use IDs. And like I said, you shouldn't use this ID in any of the other elements because an ID should be something unique. So you know, when I'm using this ID, my color, I know that it's going to be just for this case in here. You can give it, the name that you should use should be specific, you know, so you don't confuse with anything else. So now, if you want, for example, to, let's put another H1 in here. If you want to use classes, classes you can use everywhere. So let's start with a class in here. For example, to use a class, you should start with this dot. For IDs, you should use this hashtag. So let's say my H1 color. So I want these H1s to be blue. So I'm going to say color blue. Save, and I want these two H1s to be with the color with this class. So let's put class my H1 color. Just gonna copy this. I'm gonna put this in here. I just save the page, Control S, refresh in here, and okay. So let's recap again. So when we are putting in here on the top H1 color yellow, this H1 in here is targeting all the H1 elements on your page. Then, so all these H1s should be yellow. But then the browser is reading, okay, we start in here, we have this color for the H1s, then okay, we have an ID, it starts with a hash, so this is an ID. An ID should be used just in one element, just remind this, that's why it's something unique. The ID, my color, is going to use a color red. So wherever you're going to put this ID, is going to have the color red. And we're going to have a class, that a class can be used in multiple elements, you know, that you want to use like these kind of things everywhere. So let's say here we have like two H1 elements with this class, so they will have the color blue, because when let's see, when the browser starts to read here from the top, hello world, style, okay, all the H1s will have a yellow, but then we have a ID and the color, and finally when the browser gets in here to read, okay, so this element has a my color ID. Do we have anything in here on the top? Yes. So this is going to be the final value. And then the same for these ones. Okay, we have a class, my H1 color, my H1 color. Which one is it? It goes here into the top and updates. So it's no longer yellow like it was. For example, this one, we don't have anything, this element in here. That's why it's styled as yellow in here on the top. Okay, I hope it was not like confusing or something. So let's put one more thing in here. I don't want this to get like too much complicated, but all of our things in here, like for example, we have like a H1 element, a paragraph element. So if we want to put an image now, for example, I'm gonna put just like img, and I'm gonna put source, oops, source and alt. So this is a image element. As you guys can see, most of the times, like HTML element will have an opening and closing tags. Yeah, just like this one. The closing one has this /. But for the image element, there is no closing element like this. Let's say there is no closing element like this. So it's called like a self-closing. You can put something like this, a / in the end if you want to. So yeah, just keep this in mind. And this image element has a source. So this is a source, like where is your image, and this is the alt. It's going to be a description for your for your image. So let's say, for example, a image. I got one image in here on my desktop. I'm just going to cut it, and I'm going to place it on my folder where I have my index file. I'm going to put a new file, a new folder called img that is sitting next to our index file, yeah? So inside of our img folder, I'm going to enter it. I'm going to paste the image that is a cat with the name cat, yeah? There you go, is a cat. This file in here is a, if you go to properties, we can see that is a .jpeg file, okay? So let's go back to our code editor in here. If we want to display our image, we're going to put like img. It's the name of the folder. This is the one, yeah, because it's next to our index file. And we do forward slash and the name of our image, that is cat.jpg, and we're gonna put in here, let's say this is a cat. This is the description of our image. If we press Ctrl S to save, refresh our page in here, and there you go. So we have hello world that we have here on the top. Let's just get rid of this for now. We shouldn't even have this in here. Save, refresh. Okay, so we have here our image, and we have all of our H1s and everything. Great. So you may ask, Telmo, why should I use this alt description? So this alt description is used, for example, if you're going to have this image on your website, Google, when it's scrolling like with these bots, you know, like this is for SEO purposes, is going to see, okay, so this image is a cat. So whenever someone is going to search on Google for a cat, your image may appear. So this is good if you are trying to build a blog or a service or whatever, you know. This alt description is going to help people who search for this kind of keywords to find you or see your image, you know. And also, if, for example, you put, for some reason, your image cannot be displayed on a browser because, you know, your image, it's gone or whatever, or the path, this is the path to your image is wrong, the browser is going to display whatever is in your alt description. Let's say, for example, that you put in here cats.jpg. Remember that our name of our image is cat, not cats. I'm just putting this just for an example. I'm going to save this. I'm going to refresh, and the image is not there anymore because we put a wrong path. There is no file with the name cats. We only have one that says cat. You see in here? And yeah, so because the browser could not find this image, it's going to put this kind of description. So this is very good for this as well, you see. So let's say, for example, let's put this again, cat. I'll just put this the same name as it was before, refresh the page. Oh my god, Telmo, now this image is so big. I don't want to use this image so big. So what you can do is you go in here inside of your style still, you put img, and you put, let's say, a width of 100, let's say 50 pixels, and you put a height of 100 pixels. Let's save this, refresh, and look, now the image has 50 pixels width and 100 pixels height. But we don't want this. Look how the image is all messed up. If you want, for example, just a specific width, 50 pixels, and you want it to maintain the same ratio, you know, like to not be the image all messed up, you should put the width 50 pixels, this is what you want, and then you put the height auto. Save this, and there you go. Now is with the correct ratio, aspect ratio, I think. So yeah, so can you imagine now that we have been building all of these things, imagine if you have a lot of different elements. Our style in here is getting so big, you know? So if something like, you shouldn't use this kind of style as well. So the other style that we had in here in the beginning, if you remember, it's called inline styling, and then we have this kind of styling in here on the page. But if we want to maintain everything like clean and organized, we should move these kind of things to their own file. You know, you should have one file for the HTML and one file for your CSS. So for this, we should create a new file just for the CSS, just to maintain everything clean and organized. So we go here to File, New File. Here we go, is our untitled file, and we're going to save this file. Right, before this, let's just create a specific folder just for this. Let's create a folder in here with the name CSS. Yeah, so we know that inside of our folder is going to be our CSS file. Let's go in here, save this, save as, and let's go inside of a CSS and let's save this as style.css. You can give whatever name you want, but you know, it's just like easy to understand. Style.css is going to be your CSS file. So let's save this, and now let's just move all of these. Let's just cut and paste this in here. Okay, so let's save the file. Let's save this as well, and let's refresh our page. And as you can see, all of our styling that we had before, it's now gone. It's not working. You are asking me, but tell me what happened. I just created this file just like you told me. Where is all the styling? Now we need to make a reference to our style.css file that we just created. So for that, we're going to create something in here on the top. So we're going to do something like this. Link. This is like very fast to do with Visual Studio because we have this kind of plugin Emmet. So you just press tab and it's going to do automatic for you. Okay, so we create this element in here that is going to make a reference to our style.css. So this is like a link element. This is the relationship. It means that is a style sheet. This is just for the browser to know, yeah? And then we have a href. This is like, where is our file? Our file is style.css. Let's save this. Refresh the page. Nothing happened. That's because our address in here, you know, is like, it's wrong. If we go in here, next to our index.html, we have our CSS file and our CSS folder, sorry, and inside of our CSS folder, we have our style file. So in here, we need to put first, oops, just Control Z, CSS / style.css. And if we go now in here to the browser again, there you go. Now all of our previous styles are in here. So everything is working, as you can see. Right, okay, so we covered a lot of things. We covered some of the HTML elements. We covered like some CSS, how to put our CSS in a different folder and file. So yeah, this is really just like the basics, you know. I think now that you know a little bit of this, it's going to be easier for you to understand all the rest of our project, you know, that I'm going to guide you through like you don't know anything. So I hope you like this video. I don't know if it was confusing or not. You know, this was really just like the basics. I'm gonna start with this project in here now in the next video. You know, what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna just like build each one of these sections, like for example the navigation, the header, the about me section, my skills. Each one of those is gonna have their own video, and I'm gonna make sure that it's working well. And that's it, guys. I hope you like this video. If you like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.